the good athlete wants to get better.
Hmm.
The great athlete is actually obsessed and upset if they're not the best.
My main goal is to stay consistent. I really work hard on making sure that everything we do is consistent and progressive day by day.
Will not allow myself to lose. If I chose to lose, it's because I chose to lose.
I can hear you now. Yeah, love the
Uh,
background, by the way. I
I
love
appreciate it.
that.
I
So
appreciate it. Oh yeah, yeah, man. It's been a crazy busy day. I'm sorry about not being able to make the
I,
first few calls.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, man. I know you're a busy man. I don't want to take your time as well. But how was practice anyway?
It's been going great. It's been going great. As you can see, it's hot. I got the. This is actually like what do you call that? Salt from sweat that's been dried up.
Is it what time is it over there? 7 p.m. Is it?
Yeah, yeah. It's still super hot out here. I mean, if you see how hot, you'll be amazed. It's like stupid hot.
Man, I
100 degrees.
100 degrees. Man,
Yeah.
over here the weather has been not like it wasn't the best for the last couple of days here. It's been cloudy. Sessions hasn't been the best, but sure. Look, it's actually it's 1 p.m. in here, man. So
Okay.
I'll try my best not to speak loud anyway. But listen, I really appreciate you being on this podcast anyway.
No problem. No problem.
But first of all, I just want to say thank you for all the videos that you put up on your Instagram. Like, it's been amazing. I benefit from it, and I know my friends have definitely benefited from it. So I appreciate that, man.
No, no problem, man. It's a pleasure to definitely help you guys, and it's always amazing for me as a coach to see athletes get better and do better. So
Mm.
it's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to waste your time, so I'm just gonna get dive in. One of the reason why I want to do a podcast with you was to talk about what's been going on for the last couple of days,
Yeah.
about the whole thing. So people are still protesting and stuff, but it's not as bad as in America.
So where are y'all located?
So currently in Dublin, Ireland at the moment.
Ireland. Okay, yeah. So here, I mean, specifically, we can start off with Houston. Here in Houston, I mean, I just went down the street, and I live in one of the most affluent areas in Houston, which is the Memorial area. The only other area that's more affluent than this is River Oaks, and I've seen all the
Hmm.
affluent people, white, black, Mexican, whoever it was, they're creating their own little march down our little area, down our street, holding up signs, talking, showing what equality looks like, and standing up for what we're fighting for, which is justice for police
Mm.
brutality and also equality. So it's a really beautiful thing. We had one of the largest protests. It was 60,000 people past weekend.
Sixty
It was
thousand
amazing.
in one city, yeah.
Yeah, in Houston. Yeah, in
Wow,
Houston, it was
wow,
60,000 people.
60,000.
Yeah, they
Wow.
all marched. 60,000 people marched in the city. There were so many people giving water out, feeding the people that were there. So many people came together. It made me really proud of my city. We're one of the we're the fourth largest city in the United States. And I love the fact that as far as the county that I live in, we're
Hmm.
considered I think, the most diverse county in the United States. So we have a lot of
Okay.
Asians, black, brown, white, it doesn't matter who you are. You're in our county. We all go to school together. We all share teams, basketball team, track teams together. So for us to do this, our mayor is black. Most of our police force is probably, we have a large
Hmm.
black police force. So I'm not shocked that we have that kind of unity. But what am proud about is to see all the white faces, all the Asian
Oh yeah,
faces, that people who may not have the full understanding of what it is to be me and somebody like you, to be brown or black. It's a beautiful thing to have people stand by you, and it makes you feel like
absolutely, yeah.
a bigger family.
Mm, absolutely, man. I actually saw your Q&A about 3 days ago. You were touching on this topic as well. You mentioned that basically you don't be unified with people who doesn't stand what you believe in. For example, you mentioned two Instagram name in that Q&A. You mentioned the Flow Track and the Mars Split.
Well, they made a lot of posts recently. They did a post with Carl Lewis where Carl Lewis described his life and how he's endured, racist moments, and things like that. They came in, they spoke about it. I know it was a bit late, but for me, I really just believe that they, for not just Flow Track and Mouse Flip, but for any entity, because think about all the other companies that came up. USATF came out. Everybody came in solidarity. And I know just speaking about it doesn't actually make I guess too much of a physical
difference.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agree, yeah.
but I think it does make a difference though, because if you don't say you're for the movement, then I have to automatically imply that you're against the movement in
Against
a
it,
way,
yeah.
because so that's the same thing as if I had friends, who are not speaking about the actual cause of the riots, but only speak about the rioting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt the same way about Flow Track and Mouse Split. I just felt that this is not a time to be posting about Usain Bolt and some miler running last year, because nobody's running right now. So why don't you use what you have for
Use the
this
platform,
sport that's predominantly Black and brown. So you should use it to speak to the demographic that you guys are actually benefiting off of, making money off of, and all of that. I really believe that it was their place to do it. They're doing it now. So, we're not going to get upset, and we're not going to, bash them being late. Yeah, being late. But, I had to use my platform to make sure that we got what I felt like was necessary, which is for them to speak up. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I totally agree with you. Did you watch that video that I made the other day by any chance?
To be honest with you, I've been so busy, I didn't get a chance to.
No worries. It's grand. Yeah,
I saw the first, I think the first
15.
Minutes.
Yeah. Okay,
first
cool.
6 or 7 minutes of it, and then I saw, I think your friend, she was a white girl, and she was explaining her position and how she felt about it, and I really enjoyed it. That's really what got me to jump on here with you guys, because I really respect that it was a multicultural situation. I'm a multicultural athlete, coach, and a person. So it was a beautiful thing to see you guys speak about very hard topics and help other people walk through that same situation.
Yeah, like same here in Ireland. There was two guys. So the two other lads that was in my podcast, they were non-Irish as well. One of them was Black, one of them was brown, and they were talking about how when they wore the Irish jersey to other countries, like people would be looking at them weird, like how come you're not white and stuff like that. And so they were sharing the experiences, and some of them wasn't the best, to get me, especially this girl in Ireland. I don't know, do you know much athletes from Ireland by any chance? No?
I really don't.
Okay, don't worry about it. So there's this girl called Nadia Power. She got the bronze for the under-23 European. And so she's been through a lot as well in terms of discrimination and stuff like that. So in your Q&A, you mentioned that you experienced some police brutality in the past.
Yeah.
How did you feel at that moment?
I was extremely scared, and the reason why I was afraid is it didn't get to the point where it got brutal, but I seen it was escalating to that point. So me being Black and knowing, I'm from a place where I know about this stuff, so I've seen it, know it, and I just knew that, I was with my sister when it was happening, and I was afraid that it was going to happen to my sister more than it was going to happen to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was just more afraid. So what I did was just literally, I just said, hey, I'll take the charge, just take me in, like let her go and take my car. And I just took it, realistically, and said, I'll just go for it or whatever. And so we can just end this moment. And, I ended up, getting arrested or whatever. It wasn't like a major charge or anything like that. I had like something like that. But the whole situation, people don't understand what it feels like to be pulled over while Black or brown. And to have this, to know that this can escalate to the point where I might die or get physically harmed. It's a very scary position. And then also knowing that nobody's going to help you, it's even scarier. So that's why everybody's, really standing up for what's going on right now, because I think after seeing so many people die on camera and nobody's really receiving justice, or justice is delayed, it really sends a message to everybody else that we're not safe.
Man, imagine all the people that this happens to them out, like behind the camera, like that wasn't filmed. Do you know what I mean? So in your opinion, what causes racism in the first place?
I was born in Korea, and I gave that story on my page about me living in Korea. I'm
Mm.
Korean, so I was the only black kid amongst thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Koreans in my village. I lived in a village. I'm born in the '80s, so we were back in third world Korea where we didn't have that much money. So everybody was poor back then, and actually we were considered rich because we were Americans. But I'm black, so either way it don't really matter. It's like I'm
Mm.
treated as like the worst thing that can be out there, right?
Right.
So the kids there were not racist to me unless they were taught to be racist by their parents. So racism is taught. Like if you have my daughter and we put out some pictures of like a white kid and a black kid hugging each other, a white kid and a black kid playing ball with each other, she's gonna be like, I see a boy and a girl and they're playing ball. I see a boy and a girl and they like each other.
Mm.
That's what they're gonna see. They're not gonna see
Yeah.
the color of the skin. And they don't have
Mm-hmm.
that connotation yet unless I teach it to her or unless she sees it on TV, unless she feels it at school. Like for me, I didn't know I was black until my mom explained to me when I was about 6. She said, Junior, you are, and my mom called me Junior. So she said, Junior,
Yeah.
people are going to call you this name. And if they do, hit them in the head with a rock, which is, the word is similar to the word saying nigger. It's kamdugi. So,
Okay.
yeah, so I ended up playing, I heard that word, and one of the kids said it to my sister. I said, you call my sister a kamdugi? And she was like, no, I didn't. And she went off and played, and then she ran away. Yeah, we did. So I threw a rock in the sky. I think it was guided by God because it landed right on top of her head, busted her head open.
Bullseye.
And then, yeah, it was like wide open. She had to get stitches. So her dad came down from the mountain because, Korea is like 70% mountainous. So we live in a certain part of the mountain. Her dad came down, had his daughter. He's like, her head's busted. You're going to have to pay for this and take it to the hospital, da, 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 da. And then my mom said, absolutely, we will pay for all of it because I told my son if he ever gets called that word by anybody to hit that person in the head with a rock. And, it's my fault, obviously, right? So he was like, oh, no, I didn't know that's what happened. No, I didn't teach her that. No. Fast forward, me and that girl and her sister and all her friends, we played every day. We went to church together every Sunday. We ate together. And when we left we left Korea to leave, they were crying to see us leave. They're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
my friend is leaving. So what I'm getting is that racism comes from being taught racism and being programmed to feel a certain way towards a certain person's race. You see what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
know black people who are racist against other black people.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I know
Yeah.
white people who are racist against other white people.
Against white people, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Korean and I don't fool with a certain style of Korean person. I'm not racist. I'm more like I have a prejudgment. Everybody has a prejudice. And if
Mm-hmm.
you say you're not prejudiced, you haven't lived a real life. Because when you walk around and you're in a shady neighborhood and you see a person that may be shady looking, if he's Asian, black, Mexican, Indian, I don't care what he looks like, but if he looks shady, you're going to prejudge that person. He could be a scholar. He could just happen to be wearing the wrong clothes in the wrong
Mm-hmm.
area, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have a prejudgment. So prejudice is different than racism.
Then racism, yeah, 100%.
Racism is that I see a black man and I automatically assume these connotations because he's black. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah,
I
you
can
make
see
false
something-
assumptions, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a huge difference being prejudiced and being racist. And I think racism is what we're fighting against. Being prejudiced is not what I'm fighting against. I think prejudice is a part of learning how to maneuver through the world and understanding different people. So I think
get
you
you.
would know. Yeah, I think prejudice actually might save you sometimes from danger.
But
have a
here's-
little bit of understanding. Yeah.
Here's one question for you, Will. Let's say someone did brought up in a racism household. How can they break that cycle?
The easiest way I've seen it was I have some friends who are they racist? I don't know. I couldn't call them racist anymore, but they were racist.
You don't have to mention it's not. You don't have to mention the names.
No, there's no names here.
Yeah.
I got some friends who used to be racist, and we hung out with each other. I got some friends I think who are racist, matter of fact, and I still.
And you still hung out.
Yeah, the reason why is how do you like you said, how do you change it, right? Be the change. I am
Be the change. Be the change. Yeah, you want to see. Yeah.
I went to University of Texas for a short amount of time. Out in Austin. University of Texas is a predominantly white college, I think the percentage of black is like 0.8% or something, 0.8%. Yeah, it's like super low. So every black person knows each other. Like you either play sports or you're stupid smart. You're like the smartest black kid, you know what I mean? And then you happen to get into UT. So what I learned from there is, and then they're very liberal out there. They're not super conservative, but what I figured out was it's still racism because I went to the parties, right? And they're like, yo, bro, have you heard the new 50 Cent CD, dog? And I'm like, no, actually, I listen to John Mayer. I listen to like, I started naming all the most non-black music.
Yeah.
That,
What was the reaction?
it was like kind of confused. And then like, I was like, yeah, man, I actually grew up watching MTV, Alanis Morissette, Offspring's, Nine Inch Nails. Like I started naming all things that I listened to. I actually like symphonic. I like symphonic music. You know what I mean? Like they're like, what? And I look different. I look like I'm straight, black, muscular, white beater, I'm tough. But they're like, wow, okay, cool. All right, man. I went from bro to man. All right, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool, man. We want to hang out with you more, man. I've not witnessed a guy like you. You know what I mean? So they're like, it opened their mind up. So we started hanging out. And I'm going to keep it real. Some of them dudes were saying the N-word with the A on it, instead of the ER. They're like playing a video game. Watch out, nigga. Saying stuff like that, right? And I tell them, I say, hey, you're not allowed. That's okay. Yeah. You're not allowed to say that, at least around me, because I'll take offense to that. That's like me saying, hold up, crackle. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not positive, bro. We should keep it positive. Now if you're black and you're saying it to me, then I look at it as a form of a different connotation. But even to this day now, I'm only using it, if I ever do use it, it's in a very like intimate setting between me and I won't use it like you won't see me come to practice like, yo, what's up with that nigga, man? You know what I mean?
Is there a time that you said that in practice? No.
I'm gonna be real with you. If I'm talking to a black person that's relative to where I'm at and where I'm from, then we use it in a different connotation. So I have used it, but if I was addressing the team as a whole, you would never hear me say it as a whole, because we have a very multi-diverse place. And for me to use it is setting a bad example for them.
Absolutely,
that in a professional setting, using those type of words is correct. And I'm gonna be honest with you, as I grow older, I'm starting to use it less.
Do you know, I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because you recently posted a video on Instagram regarding leadership. Here's what you said in the caption. You said, good leadership is influencing someone to do something well or better. Great leadership is when you influence someone to be the very best they can be. That's a beautiful, beautiful caption. But the question is, how does one influence someone to be the best that they can be?
I think that you have to put out what you're trying to receive. So with me as a leader, I lead by example first. I lead my athletes to be consistent, persistent, resilient, and humble. And I maneuver every single day. I'm extremely consistent. I'm consistently resilient. I try to be the best that I can be, to be humble in what I do. And I do it through example. I come to practice very early. I do a lot of work. I spend time with my athletes, even if it's like I burn up my own family time with my daughter or my wife. I make sacrifices to receive and to lead. To lead is a servant. It starts with servants. You have to be a servant to be a leader. People think to be a leader, you have to dominate and tell people what to do. It's not. You must serve to lead. To lead, you must serve. It's synonymous. The best leaders in all the top companies serve the company. They don't actually just tell people what to do. They give them a common vision, and then they serve their common vision to the people that they lead. And they usually, I'll give you an example. Warren Buffett, when he first started off, he was able to develop more millionaires around him. That's how he became Warren Buffett. He didn't find millionaires and put them on. He says, I'm gonna make millionaires, and then I'm gonna keep them around me. And that's the same thing with my athletes and the people that I lead, and all the people that follow Fast University. I'm serving by giving the free information. I'm serving by doing the live Q&A.
Mm.
I'm serving so you know that I'm leading now because you know I'm doing this for you. So you're able to follow me. That's what it means to follow somebody now. Yeah.
So Will, what can we do to pay you back then for all those free contents that you put up on Instagram, all those Q&As that you did? How can we repay you back?
All I ask is that you guys be successful. You guys be really successful, and then make sure you give it back to the next person, the next
Okay.
person that needed it. Because I did this because I know what you needed, and I was you, and there was no me for me, and I'm gonna change that. I am me, so you can have this. So then something bigger than me can be
So
made.
so
That's
you're
not
creating
there.
a pattern. You're creating a pattern for the next
Yes.
generations. Yeah. Okay.
Pay it forward. If you want to do me a favor, pay it forward. Do better than I did and do it for someone else.
I love that, man. That's deadly. That's deadly. Do you know, in that video, the leadership video that you post, it's actually got a lot of people surprising, especially me as well, because in your other videos, you're so very, like, you're so very kind, like you're a friend to the athletes. But when I watch your leadership videos, like I saw, like you're a very accountable coach. Like you are very strict. So my question is, how do you find the balance between being a friend and being their coach at the same time? Like, not go over the top, but at the same time holding them accountable for their actions.
So the first thing for me is, and this is a very hard balance, and I work on it because I'm a younger coach and I can speak the language, but I'm never my kids' friends. I am their coach and I'm their mentor and I'm their authority
Mm.
figure in their life. I am the person you answer to get this situation for you. So we draw that line very cleanly from the day one. Whenever they come in, I let them know this is how it's going to work. This is the process. You can always trust me, though, to do the best for you. And then what I do is I don't talk about it. I show it. I
Mm-hmm.
show them that I'm not late. And if you're late, then you have no excuse
Yeah.
to be
Okay. Yeah.
late. Yeah, so that's what I do for them. And then the whole point of keeping them accountable is the fact that I'm keeping myself accountable. So if I make a mistake, and I want to be very clear about this. When I make a mistake, I tell them to their face. I might do a team meeting and say, hey guys, I showed up
I
late.
messed up. Yeah.
I didn't do this right, and that's never correct. And I'm going to fix it, and it should never happen again. And if it does happen again, then there's something wrong with me. And if there's something wrong with me, y'all need to go ahead and pray for me and help me out, because obviously there's something going wrong with me. And then my kids really respect that, because at the end of the day, they're like, man, he's not afraid to admit that he's wrong, and
Mm.
then make corrections and redirections the same way that he does for us. He's challenging, he's keeping that accountability himself. And that's what leadership is about. You have to keep yourself accountable as much as you're keeping somebody else accountable.
Okay, that's deadly, man. But also, you were telling me all those, like, how you want us to pass it on to the next people, what you're doing. So my next question is, who was your mentor in your life that has the most impact?
My father. My father's been my
Mm.
biggest mentor my whole life. I speak to my dad every day for about at least an hour since 2002. I spent almost an hour speaking to my dad. I haven't missed a day unless I had pneumonia, or unless he's had a heart attack or something like that, or I passed out and went to sleep. I mean, I can say within those, since 2002, this is like what, 2020, right?
Mm.
That's about 18 years, right? In
Wow.
18
Yeah.
years, I've already spent 30 or 20 days not talking to my dad for about an hour. So, and when I say I talk to him, we talk about what we're doing, what's coming up, what I have going on in my life. My dad's an open ear, and then my dad led me by his example. My dad works hard. My dad wakes up at 5. My dad actually had a heart attack because he wanted to come help me with some kids. He had like pneumonia, and he just overworked himself, drove back home. And the next day he almost died. And like, he's ready to die for how much he cares about what he does. And I'm ready to die for as much how much I care for what I do. God gave me a purpose, and I'm willing to die for what I'm doing. And that's something that my dad instilled into me. My next mentors, and I have a lot of new mentors as I grew up and I expanded my business and expanded my concepts of myself. I have now coach mentors that are, elite coaches. I have new coaches that want to become my mentors who will end up being my mentors. I have business mentors. I have a lot of mentors now, pastors who are my mentors. So I strategically find people that are smarter than me and better than me so I can maneuver to the next level with their wisdom and wise counsel. I'm a Christian, so I believe that, you know, it said in Proverbs that you can win a war by having many wise counselors to counsel you. So
Okay.
I believe that we're living life in a war of spirituality situations and also financial situations where things are trying to pull you down. And then in this war, it's going to take a lot of wisdom around you to maneuver and get to the next level, to the next level. So I'm big on mentorship.
That's steady, man. Do you know why you like? I really respect you because you do practice what you preach. When it comes to YouTube, Instagram, you always say, you did a marketing video on YouTube. I was watching that just a few weeks ago about like posting stuff on Instagram, and you do every day. You post, I don't know, like whether it's acceleration, top end speed mechanics, and all that stuff. And you recently get onto TikToks actually now, yeah? Or have you been on TikTok for a while now?
Yeah, I've been on TikTok since, I don't even know. I started it, what was it, November, I guess? So I've been on it for a little bit. I mean, it blew up really quick. I mean, we got to like 75,000. Low-key, we're dwindling down. It's because I'm not making TikToks to get followers.
Okay. You just want to get the buzz, like yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I want to put the content out. So whoever wants to follow it, then they can have it. But I don't need any more followers. That's not what I'm looking for. Like, I'm legit now just trying to service the people that know and that need it. And then if they stumble upon it, then more power to you. Keep following. But I'm not. This is not for the followers or the likes or the views. If I was, I would be posting. Like, I know what videos that get the most views.
Yeah.
And I can just keep posting those.
You can
videos.
keep yeah. That's deadly, man. That's deadly. Do you know what your number one philosophy? Correct me if I'm wrong. Your number one philosophy when it comes to training is practice makes permanent. Am I correct? Like, can you shed some light on that?
So it takes about 14 to 15 days, 14 to 20 days to create a habit, and it's going to take you at least that time and maybe even more to break a habit. Depending on how long that habit been instilled into you, it may take you longer. So the thing about practice makes permanent, it's a law that we believe in. It is a law. So so the same way that you learned how to do anything, you practiced it, and then it started to become somewhat permanent until you stopped practicing it, and then it became less permanent. It's just like a person who plays piano and they played it for like 10 years, and then
it registers in their brain, so they do it without thinking about it.
Yes, so I played the flute growing up. I mean, I played at a very high level, like symphonic level. So I can still do my chromatic scales phonetically, but I really can't do it like I did before, but it's still somewhat permanent, right? But if I was to practice it, I can reignite that and come back to it. Just as much as I speak Korean, and that's my first language, if I spend a month of just speaking nothing but Korean, then my Korean would just increase and start coming back to me. I believe the same thing about training, the same thing about life in general. If you're acting a certain way, may it be positive or negative, it's going to become a habit that's going to start to become permanent. And for me personally, I've been going through a process in my life the last 2 years or 3 years where I had some negative attributes that I had to stop making permanent. So I had to replace them with positive attributes. Like I started listening to Zig Ziglar. I started listening to Dr. Miles Monroe, E.T. the hip hop preacher. I started listening to this every day. I don't even listen to music unless I'm doing TikTok. And legit, I just start to fill my mind. And then I also, when I do things, I'm very cognizant and aware, and I take evaluations of myself every night. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? And if I feel like I'm less than what I need to be, then I need to find ways to redirect myself because I don't want to practice this. I'm leading myself to success, large level success. I plan on being the best at what I do, the absolute best. So I have to practice this so it becomes a permanent style, because what people don't understand about Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, they do the same thing they've been doing forever. They wake up in the morning. Bill Gates, he actually talks with Warren Buffett for 15 minutes in the morning. He reads for 3 hours. I have this whole book about what they do, and I study what the best of the best do. And what I recognize is it is a consistency of life, practicing the same concept over and over and over and over again, so they can be permanently great.
That's very good, man. That's very good. I have one last question in regards to leadership. As a coach yourself, what's the one question that you keep finding yourself asking the most? What question do you ask the most often?
As far as for my kids or for myself?
For yourself. For yourself.
What questions do I ask myself in leadership? I think as a leader, sometimes it becomes a lonely place because at the top, it's always very lonely. And then to be a leader, you have to take on a lot of responsibility that's very uncomfortable for most regular individuals. If you look at all leadership companies and big companies, they go through a lot of ups and downs. Media talk crazy about their family. Media talks crazy about that person. People villainize them, but they just take it and they move it in stride and they have to work with it. But what they don't really understand is, and my wife understands it, is that I'm a human. And the biggest question that I ask myself is, can you handle this? Can you handle this? And I believe in God, so God gives me no more than I can handle. But as the life I'm living right now, I question, can I do this? Because I stay up every day. It's almost till 3 a.m. I wake up every day at 8 a.m. to the point where I get sores in my mouth. Like I'm getting, it's burning me out almost. So how long can I do this is some of the questions, and can I handle this? And once I get to that point, I have to take a little bit of a rest, and I come back renewed. And I said, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. So I think to say that you want to be a leader and not know the responsibilities of it, I think the biggest question most leaders ask themselves is, how can I keep doing this? And is this feasible for me to continue to live like this? And I ask myself every day, is this feasible? You know what I mean?
So where's that fuel come from? Like eventually leadership do get burned. Like you get burned out sometime when you go too hard. So where's that motivation come from to keep going? How's that fuel? Yeah.
I would never be broke again. I would never lose again. I have 2 daughters. I have a wife. I would not lose. I just cannot lose. And I will not allow myself to lose. If I chose to lose, it's because I chose to lose. Do you know how hard it is to be Will Smith? Do you know how hard it is to be Denzel Washington? How hard it is to be Kevin Hart? How hard it is to be Bill Gates? Woe is me, right? That's how I look at things. Woe is me. This is what it takes for you to want this. If you want something that's great, then it's going to take great sacrifice. So my inspiration is watching other people tell me that this is how it goes. This is what it took for me to get there. And so when I look at that, I'm like, dang, I'm not even, your mom died and you were abused and they called you mentally retarded and you were homeless. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there are some people in India that don't even have a chance, but they have all this ability, right? And they're fighting against systematic things that they never can, but it's harder for them than it is for me. You know what I mean? So I look at other people making it through harder circumstances. I say, man, if he can make it,
if they can do it,
I'm gonna make it. Yeah, and that's how I am. So I don't get down on myself.
Yeah, the thing is, like people say they put their faith in God, but God bless you with 2 hands and 2 feet. So it's up to you to make that right decision. So that's a very good answer right there, man. But so now that we touched on leadership, like I said, I don't want to take too much of your time. The next part that I want to talk about is just a big Q&A. So I asked my friends some questions. They're like, all my mates are sprinters as well. So I have some athletic question that I want to ask you. So the first one is going to be, what separates the good athlete against the great athletes? What's the difference between them two?
It's your mentality
mindset.
And it's your heart. Yeah, it's your mindset and your heart. So the good athlete wants to get better. The great athlete is upset that they're not the best.
Say that again. I didn't quite catch that.
The good athlete wants to get better.
Mm-hmm.
The great athlete is actually upset if they're not the best.
Okay.
Like they expect to win they expect to succeed. They expect it. So at the end of the day, like they need to be able to find ways to get to the greatest level. Where a good athlete will be satisfied with progression, a great person is obsessed with being the best, like being number one, always at the top echelon. And that's really how I feel. Like before Bashy was huge,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that this is what I was. I knew that this
Okay.
was going to be me. I had to find every way to understand marketing, every way to get to this point. And that's why I'm going to be the best. So I have that in me. And that's the same thing I see in my athletes that are great. It's something that's inside of you that's intrinsic in your heart and your mindset to where you're like, I have to, not I want to.
You got no choice.
There's no plan Bs. People with plan Bs are not trying to be great. There's no plan B.
Mm-hmm. And can you teach that now, or it comes down to pure self-awareness?
It's self-awareness is key, and it can be taught. It just isn't going to be learned. You see what I mean? You can teach,
Okay.
but will the person receive? You see? And when I've realized the greatest situations come out from sacrifice and come out from really tough situations. The greatest people you know have been through hard times, the hardest of times. So that's what I've recognized, that really impoverished things where things been taken away with limited access. These things actually draw, even if it's just a parent. Let's just say I have most of my kids are from affluent areas, and my fastest kid who wants to be great and has all this raw natural talent, she works hard, but her parents are from a poor background. So they instilled that, hey, this is what poverty is. Let's go visit poverty. This is where our family lives. You know what I mean? Like if you don't want to be stuck here, then this is what real life is like when you don't do what you're supposed to do. This is what it looks like when you're not trying to be great. I tried to be great, so I broke the poverty chain. It was a chain that was on us. We broke it. We weren't supposed to make it through this far. We broke through. So when they broke through, they taught their kids the pattern of breaking through. So I look at it as, yeah, they're teaching them how to be great.
That's steady, man. That's steady. But my next question is going to be from a good friend of mine is, what are your thoughts on assisted and downhill run? Because he was saying, because I remember he was telling me that you don't have much videos on that topic.
I don't go against it. We did it when I was coming up. My dad likes to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's the danger.
Yeah.
I'm a ROI kind of guy. So risk.
Okay. So risk and reward. If the risk is the risk is higher, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Risk is a little bit too high for me. I'm doing well without it, so I'm good. I'm good on it. I don't think it's bad. I just don't use it myself.
Okay, fair enough. Now, what's the one skill that you find most of your athletes struggle with? Like whether it's skill, whether it's mentality, just anything. Like you can say like technique-wise as well. Like would you say it's the low heel recovery or?
Low heel recovery is hard to learn, and it's not for everybody to do. But I think, if you're just talking from a track standpoint, not a mindset standpoint, the hardest skill to learn is how to do the start effectively and efficiently to where you're not using so much energy in your start. So people watch us and be like, hey, them people are getting out. Their starts are crazy, right? But what they don't realize is we're not using that much energy to do that. It took us a lot of choreography to do that, a lot of mental energy to figure it all out. But I mean, if we had 10 bars of energy, for my guys to cover 30 meters, it takes less than a bar of energy for us. You know what I mean? Like a bar and a half at the most. Where everybody else is going to take them 3 to 4 or 5 bars to do what we do. It doesn't take that much for us because we spend so much time, like choreographing. I look at the video. That's why I don't sleep. It's just a lot. So that's the skill that,
No, I was gonna say that's what I watched the video on your Instagram. You use cones as well to measure like what's the first step, what's the second step. Like that's the, like as a coach that takes, I'd say that take quite a lot of time, especially you coaching like tons of athletes, so you have to get every steps correct, tape drills and stuff like that. But fair play to you, man. That takes a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a lot. I mean, I don't accept a lot of athletes. Right now we're limited to who we can accept, and Woo, it's a lot. I mean, every day I know every athlete's small quirks, and we work on one piece a day for every athlete. So, I mean, I could just list like 30 athletes and I could tell you what we're working on with that one person. Like, we're working on her wrist, we're working on her knees going in, we're working on her pushing out with a back arm stroke, we're working on her landing a little bit flatter to her midsole. Like, I could just name every person. If I had a list and you just start calling them out, I could just tell it to you. That's what I do every night. Legit, every
Okay.
single night. That's exactly what I do. Like, I focus on those specific aspects, and it week by week by week. And if you follow me for years, you can see the same kids that were like, eh, and then the next year
And
like,
then
yo,
yeah. Who's that guy? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But like taking an athlete from day one, what kind of stuff are you looking from the athlete in terms of technique, in terms of running?
Technique. I'm looking to see if he knows how to push, and then if they don't, then I'll figure that out and how to fix it. And there's so many different styles of like bad running. So I know all the styles of bad running. So I'm like, oh, I can fix that. Oh, that's going to be hard to fix. You know what I mean? I can look at that. But I think the biggest thing is knowing how to push and do they understand their body lines. So body lines is like, is your ankle, your hips, your shoulder, and your head.
Shoulder.
Yeah. Are you in alignment? Do you understand how to put yourself in alignment? Do you know how to keep your core tight? And do you know how to put your body in position? So big thing for me is about positioning. Do they understand their body positioning is the primary thing? And it starts with their feet. Most people have their feet out. We work on having our feet in directly straight, landing more on the instep because most people are pronated outwards. So we work on compensating.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I tell my kids, if I see you at Walmart and you walking like this, man, you got a problem. You know what I mean? So like practice makes permanent. So they need to be walking every day, trying to go straight forward.
Okay.
Yeah, our kids are indoctrinated in our ideology and our concept. They live like us. They don't just train with us. They live like us. So when you see people when you see athletes that train with us and they say they're from FASU, you can tell because if you poke them in their stomach is stupid hard. Abs are super tight. They walk straight. And then if you watch them start, you can just look at their start and you know that's one of our kids. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying, if they have a soft meat section, they're not part of the FASU family, are they?
I'm telling you, like most of our athletes, if they've been with us for a long time and if they're still with us, we don't have nobody that's built like that. Nobody, even our bigger football players, their stomachs are hard. Even if they got a little fat around, we got linemen that we train sometimes, you know what I mean? And they might have some fat around it, but that core is ridiculous.
Rigid, yeah.
Yeah, the core is one of the largest key components for everything that you do. And it's not, people don't understand how much time it takes and how much work it takes to make it as rigid as it needs to be elite. I'm not talking about being good. Good, you could just do abs 2 times a week, 3 times a week. We do abs every single day. Every single day is abs. There's no day where there's no abs and back. There's no days without it.
And how long would you spend on those abs, on the core session?
So we have multiple workouts. One of them is on YouTube. That's our general one. That's considered 1,000 abs, the one that we do on YouTube. If you go on my IGTV, we have some of them that's worth 2,000. That's worth 2,000 in our account. We have a certain way of counting things. Then we have pillar abs where we hold our bodies up in planks in different plank style positions to cause the core and the lower abs to become one unit. So we do all these different things at different times of the season. But legitimately, if you don't have enough time, our basic abs don't take no more than 5 minutes. So when people tell me, I don't have time to do it, I call BS. You know what I mean? I call BS on that. You know what I mean? And it is what it is.
Okay, yeah, it's only 5 minutes. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But one last questions in terms of the whole athletic is what's the biggest misconception you find other athletes or coaches do when training for max velocity? You can take your time.
Man, that's a pretty detailed question. That's a good one. I like that one. I guess some of the biggest faults that I see is high knees. Like, no, you're not supposed to run with high knees. You're supposed to put your feet down and have high heel recovery. So when your heel comes up under your glute, your knees are at the highest it can be.
Yeah.
Parallel.
Okay.
So like that's number one, and it's not a misconception. It's like it's an ignorance. Nobody taught these people that. I had to learn that. You know what I mean? Like from pros, pro coaches. And I had to biomechanically figure this stuff out myself. And I grew up with people saying, "Hey, pick your knees up." And
Pick
that's
your
not
knees up,
it.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sure every single coach or athletes have even tried that before. I tried that before one sprint as well. It just doesn't feel good at all.
No,
Yeah.
you pick your heels up and put your feet down. The harder you put your feet down, the higher your heel will come up, and then your knees will automatically get that knee lift. And I think the second part of max velocity that's really undercoached, and is because of lack of knowledge, is that there is a front side mechanic aspect that's part of the B skill that most people don't know how to attain. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm actually glad that I know it and that it's not like a mass marketed situation, because for one, it gives me that advantage and it makes us win a lot more over people who don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? So, you know, eventually as I teach more online, eventually more coaches will learn and then more coaches will teach this. And, you know, I have other things that gives me the advantage, obviously, but for now, I feel very comfortable that, you know, this is an advantage and I can show you what I mean. It's not nothing.
Okay,
I
yeah,
can't really
yeah,
show you.
please, yeah. Well, you blend in the background.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can turn my background off.
All right, cool, cool. Well, if it's gonna take loads of space for you, well, you don't have to, but sure, look.
Well, look, I'll just show you real quick. I think it's easy.
Okay.
Is it catching me?
Uh,
Nah. Okay, I'll
it's
just.
fine.
I could just tell you about it. So whenever you
Or,
do
or if you want, you can post a video on your Instagram. I'm sure that'll get loads of views.
well, it's actually already on there, but it's
Oh, is
not
it?
like
Okay.
it's basically you allow your feet to go a little bit in front of you, just like a B skill. Like in a B
So,
skill,
are you reaching out? Are you reaching out when you release the leg? No.
it seems like a reach, but you got to imagine that you're picking your heel up, right? And then all your mechanics is front side when you get to top end, max velocity, right? So all your mechanics should be front side. That means it should be going to the front. So then what people are afraid to do is allow it to come to the front and then allow it to get under them. So it's like most people will, when I say march, this is what I mean, up and down and march.
Yeah, up and down,
When we get to like max velocity and we're maintaining speed, then it's more like, oh, let me get my hands at right there. It's more like actually putting my finger, like this, there we go. So it's like actually putting your feet a little bit and then it lands under you, a little bit in front of you and it lands under you. A Soufi Powell video that I posted from a side view, and it says front side mechanics, it'll show you exactly what I mean. Matter of fact, I will probably just repost that video.
So basically by doing that, does that cover more grounds then? Because you're kind of reaching.
You're not reaching for it. You're picking it up and allowing it to go forward, which allows it to fall under your center of mass. You're not reaching if it lands in front of your center of mass. That's reaching.
It's a break, yeah.
Yeah, but if I allow it to rotate in front of me, then land directly under it, that's just good. That's just good timing. You know what I mean?
So any good drills to reinforce that technique? Just B skips.
Yeah, B skips, wickets, and certain styles of wickets. Wickets will help a lot. Wickets will help a whole lot, but you have to have your wickets set a certain way, and that's the problem. Like, there's so many gray areas in that concept that the way I do it is not the way that Jonas does it out there in England, which is he's one of England's. He's Prescott's coach, Diener Asher Smith's coach.
Okay.
I
think I've heard of him.
Yeah, Speedwork Training is their webpage.
Oh yeah, Jonas Dudu coached them.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna try to go out there sometime this year, and I'm gonna study under him and learn his stuff as well. So I like the way he coaches his athletes, and I love the way he drills.
He actually just released an app. I don't know if you're aware of it. I think it's called Binary Sports. Basically, It's like a dartfish, and then you can join the dots, and I think about it's I use it myself. I think I have to pay like €20 every month, but we're in quarantine here in Ireland, so it's no point to use it at the moment. Yeah. So I think
it's cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I don't know, like this thing is gonna change everything. But is there any competition in America in the future for this year? No.
We got track meet coming up on the 23rd for us to run at. So yeah, we're running.
All right, okay. We're still in quarantine here in Ireland, so I don't think there's gonna be.
We're almost wide open here in Houston. So we're like,
Jesus, fair play to you, yeah. But yeah, sorry about that, Will. But for the last one, we almost finished. We're just gonna play a little game at the end, yeah. So I have my laptop. I have my laptop here with me. So basically, it's a quick fire round.
Okay.
So it's one word answer. I'm just gonna say one word, and you have to say one word that basically comes out of your head. Only one word.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have 5 seconds to answer each of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Speed.
Power.
America.
Home.
That was close to 5 seconds. Racism.
Bad.
Coach.
Mentor.
Social media.
Communication.
Nice. Daddy. So that's round one. Just that was nice and quick, very, very easy. For round two, you have two choice and you have to pick one. Yeah?
Okay. Okay.
Right. So speed or acceleration?
Speed is acceleration, so it's speed, I guess.
All right. Instagram or TikTok?
IG.
Nice. Noah Lyles or Christian Coleman?
No allows.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. No doubt.
Actually, why? I want to hear your answer.
No allows is unlimited. Christian Coleman is limited, and I believe in unlimited athletes. So, give an example. No allows does not focus on a 100-meter dash, but he runs just as good as everybody else.
That's a good
No
point.
allows actually. No allows runs 45 out of high school, 10-1 out of high school, 20.1 out of high school. No allows runs 19.6. I mean, I could just go for hours. 44. He probably runs 44, probably mid to low, probably 43s. I mean, it's unlimited. He's an unlimited athlete. Once he gets stronger, nobody's gonna beat him. It's just nobody's gonna beat him once he gets. Yeah.
Do you know what I was watching? I don't know who posted on Instagram. It was a race, just a few. I think it was this year. Michael Norman against Noah Lyles in the 200. Yeah, it was 200. What's your thoughts on Norman anyway? Like he's very good at 400. Like there's no question about it. Like I think he can even break the world record for the 400. But in terms of 200, do you think he can break that? Like maybe get close to Usain Bolt's 19.19 seconds?
Not yet. Until he trains for the 100, no, because it takes a certain aspect of the shorter race. Like the 100-meter race model he has to be fluent in that before he can say that he even has the velocity to even carry himself across under 1940. To go under 1940 is going to take a 9.65 type runner. He didn't have that in him yet. So Noah Lyles will, though. Noah Lyles will have it in him in about probably the next year and a half to 2 years. Once he gets stronger, he'll have a 9.6 in his body. So then he'll be able to go under 1950. He actually hit 1950, I think.
Yeah, I think he already hit 1950. Yeah, I think in Doha or something. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So yeah, you're right. So he's almost there. So I mean, like that's what I was getting at. He's an unlimited athlete. And then when he concentrates on the 100, it's going to be over for the 100-meter runners. The difference between Coleman and him is that Coleman is based off the first 60 of his race, and then his top end is so suspect, and the way his mechanics is so suspect that you can't free will at the top end when you're a pro. At the pro level, you have to be able to land and come off and cycle through. Like Noah Lyles is an unlimited person because
he's fluid.
He's super fluid, and his back end is similar to like Carl Lewis, and his front end and acceleration is similar to a lot of the top guys that are running right now, like Gatlin. He has great acceleration too. So he's not limited. The more unlimited you are, and that's how I train my athletes to run the 1, the 2, and the 4. So if you can unlimit yourself, then you are going to run like you're not going to have a cap.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But if you look at Coleman, though, like in terms of his technique, like in terms of 1 out of 10, what would you rate his technique? Because as you can see, when you run, his feet turns outwards. and his hands
Yeah.
doesn't really like.
I'll give him a 7.5 to 8 maybe.
Yeah. So if
No allows to be like a 9.2.
okay, so if Coleman was your athlete, what kind of stuff would you work? What kind of stuff would you fix about him or work with him?
I would work more towards the back end mechanics and his landing, exactly what you just said. I would work on how his feet is landing. He's landing on the outside of his feet.
On the outside,
and he's landing on his toes at certain points where he's landing like on his fifth metatarsal. I would make him go more midsole, have him turn in and compensate. I also would, the way he rotates his elbow, relax. I would actually have him relax and then work on the straight lines, and I would work on it. I wouldn't make it all perfect. I would just work on him relaxing to get to that point. And the only way you get to that point is having that energy system past the 200, which is a 400 meters or 300 meters, to where he has the energy to be free enough to control the mechanics. That's the difference between Noah Lyles and everybody else. Noah Lyles is literally like a 44 low, 43 type quarter miler. So it is like that's why he's walking you down at the 80-meter mark. You know what I'm saying? Like it's because he can still do everything you can't do, you know?
But you mentioned you had a Instagram live today. Oh, I think it was the other day actually. You mentioned that some athletes have like they have stuff that they can't fix. Like for example, you mentioned Usain Bolt has the scoliosis. So yeah. So do you think it can be fixed?
Yeah, okay. It can be. His stuff can be fixed because you're talking about foot plant, right? So foot plant is just, you gotta learn that and just turn it in some. You know what I mean? Like that's all that is. Unless he has like ossified ankles and they just don't go past here, and then even then we can like work on range of motion and get him to a specialist and get his ankles loosened up and get his joints regulated. Because Usain Bolt, because of his curvature of his spine, he had to change his block positioning and his neck positioning in his blocks because he couldn't do the rounded back situation that most sprinters do. You know what I mean? So he had to have a straight back. But what it allowed him to do when he got the top end, it allowed him to be able to do more, and he runs rhythmically, not he doesn't run Sickler style of running. Like he runs rhythmically, so he's on a bounce.
Boom, boom, yeah, bounce left and right, left and right.
Yeah, a bounce. So it's rhythmic. It's more rhythmic. So it's a feel for him. People don't like to see oscillation left and right, but what people don't get is that it's working for him because he has supernatural other stuff that's making up for that other side of it. And it's the same thing with Coleman. He can lift 3 times his body weight, so he can come out of a trajectory super low and he's compact. He's able to do all this stuff. So you can't beat him the first 60, and he's going to be so far ahead that if he just kind of lets off the gas a little bit at about 50 meters and then reserve some of that and then lets his body come up nice and natural, then he has a little bit more energy to take care of the back end, which makes him a 9.7 runner. And that's really, you have to give and take in this race game. And Noah Lyles' start is not as good. His heel recovery is not low enough to come out in a lower trajectory because he's not strong enough yet. He's just not been developed in the weight room enough yet. But over time, it will happen.
Yeah, how old is he? I think he's 21, 22, is he?
Yeah,
23.
He went pro out of high school. Yeah,
that's deadly. Yeah, like them two are definitely like the go-to watch for the moment in athletics. But the last question for this round is Gatlin or Usain Bolt? Gatlin. Any particular reason?
The technique, man. I'm big on. Me and Gavin are really cool. Obviously,
yeah,
my man.
Yeah.
Man, it's just the technique. He's the best starter. One of the best starters ever. He's one of the best starters ever. Like everything that I learned, not everything, but his body is longer than most. So if you look at his limbs, his arms and his legs are longer. So he has his shin bone to his feet are a little longer. So you could see the mechanics a lot easier. So then when it's easier for people to register this. So Gavin has done a big favor to people like me who are learning with no fast youth to learn mechanics. I was able to learn it so much easier watching him than it was watching Maurice Green. Like Usain Bolt wouldn't help a person like me. If I was young, he would help me learn how to run mechanically sound because he's running like Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Where Asafa Powell helped me learn how to run because he's 6'3", and now you can see him articulate his body in that length. So you're able to witness pushing shin angles, knee drive. You're able to see these things with these athletes. That's why I choose to show these athletes above all. People think I show Gatlin because he's my dog. Like that's
well,
probably
he's
like
still,
yeah, it's probably like 30% of the reason why. But the other 70%, you know what I'm saying, is like
yeah.
he does it to where other people can do it. Not everybody can run like Usain. Nobody else runs like Usain. There's not another person that runs like that. But there's
True.
a ton of people that run like Gatlin. There's tons of people that run like Gatlin. There's a whole generation of people that run like Gatlin. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Right, we're on to the final round now, man. Yeah. So the final round is just basic question, and you can take as long as you want to answer them, whichever comes to your head. So no need to overthink those answers. Yeah. So the first one is, what's the best advice you ever received?
Don't let nobody kill your dreams.
Say it again.
Don't let anyone kill your dreams.
Okay, gotcha. Second one, what have you learned about yourself in 2020?
I go hard.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know you do. Yep. I know you do.
Yeah, I go really hard, apparently.
What's the hardest skill or lesson you find to teach an athlete?
Oh man, how to recover themselves and how to recover themselves and approach their training with a concept of a macro perspective while staying in tune in the moment. So it's like a micro perspective and a macro perspective. So you have to have a good balance of both. And what happens with a lot of my athletes and athletes in general is that when you're an athlete, you run and train and you're thinking about running this time at the end of your season, you're thinking about this big goal, but you sometimes when you're chasing that big goal, you're forgetting that every day that you have to put yourself into that race and do this and focus right now. And it's hard sometimes to manage that. And then with that, being an athlete, a lot of your self-value is based off of your performance and how you're doing in your sport. So it plays a game in the psychology where people often can get depressed, and that's a very dangerous place to play with.
Is that when you said are you in practice or are you at practice? You always say that, Lam, yeah? Nice.
I always do that to I always do that to Yasmin. So Yasmin, the girl I do that to. My girl Yas, because she's on.
Yeah, on your story, you always say that. I think that's her anyway. But she's always like looking, like she always looked lost in the gym or on the track.
Yeah.
Don't tell I said that.
Hey, I'll probably repost this on my page anyway. So just send it to me. She'll definitely see it. I'll tag her in it. She needs to hear it. She's a great kid, but she zones out, man. She zones out. It's crazy.
Nice. Right. Right. One last question, Will. One last question, and then you can go. What's one? I always ask everybody that has been in my podcast. I always ask this question: what's one thing we can all do to make the world a better place?
Take care of the next man as if he's the best man. I think that's the best thing you can do. Like, I really try my best to do what I can. And when I'm out in public, even when people are serving me, I treat them as if they're the best. You know what I mean? I like, thank you so much, even if it's not so good. You know, I'm like, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And if I see people that need things, like, you know, people that are homeless, you know, sometimes you don't know if they're really homeless, but if I'm moved to do so, I'm like, hey, let me help you out. God bless you. Some of my kids are not that good, and some of them are actually getting on my nerves, you know what I mean? But I take the time, you know what I'm saying, to treat them as if they're treat them as if they're the best. You know what I mean? I treat them the same way I treat a pro athlete. So a pro athlete shows up, I treat them the same way I treat my kids. I think that's a good way, you know, to like make the world a better place. Is just treat everybody as if they're the best. I think that same energy would come back to you. What you put out is what you receive.
That's very well put together, man. Listen, Will, I appreciate you doing that podcast. We just done over 1 hour now, so I just want to make it nice and quick. Oh, by the way, if you ever come to Ireland, if you ever, I don't know, want to do something in Ireland, and we'll love you here. Just give me a shout, and then I'd love to meet you in person, and we can do some stuff together. Yeah, likewise. Actually, so there's actually some coaches that's been doing like workshops and stuff in Ireland. So if you ever
Connect
like,
me. Yeah,
yeah,
connect me. I'll come out.
yeah,
I'm actually
like
coming out. I'm going to England this year, so I can just come right there.
I know there's a bunch of athletes and coaches that wants to meet you. So if you ever plan to come to Ireland, just give me a shout, and then
Yeah, we can
yeah, we'll
organize
start
it.
from there.
Let's organize. Let's set up a situation where we can do it. I'm actually coming out to the UK. I do it all over the United States here, so just let me know. And
Yeah,
my lady loves to travel, and for me, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing this for like a bigger reason, and I'm trying to make it global to where I can reach all the people that are reaching to me. I would love to come to Ireland and be a part of what you're doing.
cool, man, cool. Listen, Will, like I said, I won't take so much of your time. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, man, and
Likewise.
I've learned a lot from you as well. So thank you so much, Will. Yeah, I'll see you later. Yeah.
All right, brother, man. Peace.